Ferry Hill Farm, Ferry and Freedom. The brick home in front of you once stood at the heart of a western Maryland plantation called Ferry Hill. Built between 1812 and 1820, the plantation consisted of nearly 700 acres of land, a tavern and a ferry. An enslaved workforce of 18 people ensured the farm's success. Ferry Hill's builder, John Blackford, was an advocate of building the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal, which crosses the lower part of the property along the Potomac River. Ferry Hill overlooks the strategic crossroads of the Potomac, the canal, and a series of river crossings. These routes carried farm products and coal, as well as immigrants and freedom seekers during the Civil War. Union and Confederate forces occupied the home and grounds at various times. Henry Clyde Douglas, a resident of Ferry Hill, wrote the memoir I Rode with Stonewall about his experiences as a Confederate officer. It says, John Blackford built Ferry Hill and lived here until his death, 1839. Henry Clyde Douglas left Ferry Hill in 1861 to fight for the Confederacy. They say that he never returned, even though he gained ownership of the Ferry Hill after his father's death, but he never returned here. He would go on to, I think, Hagerstown, I believe, and became a lawyer. We are at Ferry Hill, across the river from Shepherdstown, and there used to be a ferry back in the day across here in a little town of Bridgeport down the hill, which is no longer there. There's some ruins and stuff.
Found this biggest stick ever.
And
I'm here.
This is the first time stopping here. Drove by it numerous times like we always do.
Look right next to you and look down. Look right next to you and look down. You don't see stairs.
I know. See the stairs right there?
Yeah.
So probably more than likely the road probably intertwined coming up the hill and then looped around the front of this residence and then went that way towards Sharpsburg, Antietam, the battlefield up there.
I think it's stone.
And then that
It's stone.
they have these little markers where you can dial on your phone and you put in where you're at and they talk about it. And the one behind the house here I did, and they talked about the residents here where the one son had went and fought for the Confederacy on the other side of the river, and at times was so homesick when he was in the area he would stop over there just to look back at his house. And one time he saw his father, and another time he was being taunted by the soldiers on this side, the Union, and a courier who was with him yelled back, hey, you wouldn't be doing this if you knew who he was. And then they somehow got to communicating, realized that this was the son who used to live here. His family was still living here. So the Union soldiers got his mother and took him down to the river. He came across hesitantly because he thought he was going to be captured, and met his mother, and they allowed him to see his mother. And doing so, the Union soldiers took off their caps and walked out of talking distance so they could have their moments together, brief that it was. And then he returned back across the river. Interesting story. Ferry Hill, Shepherdstown. Very busy. Jason's over here.
Little dude.
Please like and subscribe.